emotional truth that can be experienced, and it's something that we experience when we hear his music, and it's something we experience when we see his art. And that's kind of what I was after, you know. Like I said, you can interview 20 different people and you're going to get 20 different responses, but the bottom line is the art is the sort of, you know, his art was sort of window to his soul and into his psyche. I mean, the movie has been, you know, people are calling it the most intimate rock doc ever, and I think a lot of that has to do with how he was able to connect with people through his art, that you feel that you're there with him on this journey. I mean, the closest thing I could describe the film to is Boyhood, you know, and that you're sort of on this journey with this kid through life, and it just happens that the kid in question in our
really believe in natural medicine, and other people are
at 10:12. Today in rock and roll history, coming up after the...
But overall, the Baltimore Police Department declared, quote, the city is stable.
Rolling 94.9 The...
A night of timeless jam.
Sportsnet to Men's Health. And then when I ask people who've seen the film, what is it you were hoping to hear, they look at me.
That can solve all these competing demands and imperatives.
So what do you think he's going to end up with? Seems to me that he has a deal now with Kahlan. What happens to Naftali Bennett, and if he pulls out, how does that affect Netanyahu?
Well, forgive me for treating this. I don't mean to treat it disrespectfully or dismissively, but in many respects, this is really a game of chicken. And who's going to blink first, and who's going to relent? My sense is that in the end, some of these smaller parties are going to be willing to give in a little bit because they're faced with the choice of either compromising on their expectations and demands or being shut out. And there is no formula for future disaster. And all politicians don't just act in the present, they always have an eye on positioning themselves for the next election. There's no recipe for disaster greater than being outside of government. If you're outside of government, the chances for you to maintain a profile, to exercise influence, to have a platform to generate further support or even sustaining the support that you already have goes down significantly. So I imagine that if there's going to be eye blinking, it'll probably be on the part of the aspiring coalition partners.
So do you think that there's any chance that Rivlin will hand this portfolio to someone else?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. So you think that that Bibi will get this straightened out, but then he's going to have a lot of enemies. I mean, Bennett is going to be an enemy because no matter what he offers him now, it's not good enough. He wants more.
Well, he functioned in government for a long time with Lieberman as an enemy, with Tzipi Livni as an enemy. He has a lot of enemies.
Right. Well, that's sad, but I hope it works out to the benefit of the Israeli people. Now, what's going on? Apparently, Iran is backing Hezbollah. They have made unbelievable threats to Israel. So has Hamas. And I don't know how Israel can face and fight all of these enemies. They do, but how do they do that?
Well, strangely enough, I think even though every analyst is talking about how an outbreak of conflict with Hezbollah on the north, with Hamas in Gaza, is inevitable and going to happen soon, we do see evidence, notwithstanding what you just referenced, which is true enough, but we do see evidence of everybody, Israel, Hezbollah, and Hamas, trying to actually lower the temperature rather than raise it. Each for their own reasons doesn't want to engage in conflict right now. The question is going to be whether, there are incidents that happen every day, Zelda. You cover them very frequently. Sometimes they can be managed as isolated incidents, and sometimes they trigger something much, much wider. So if, for example, the Palestinian Authority decides that it's going to abandon its security responsibilities in the West Bank, then we can anticipate that some confrontation or stone throwing or shooting or whatever between Israeli forces and terrorists or rogues or thugs or what have you could escalate into something much larger, and then it has a domino effect. So it's going to be a very tense and tough time over the coming months. But my sense of the situation is that nobody's looking to exploit those pretexts. They want to try and tampen down on the potential for an escalation of tension and conflict.
Shimon, how concerned is the Obama administration of the actual portfolios that Netanyahu is going to give out? I mean, he's not happy with Netanyahu at any cost,
Right.
but will the portfolios that he finally gives out make a difference to Obama as well?
I don't think so. Because I think two things are happening. One of them is the personal animus between Netanyahu and Obama, and that can only be resolved by getting rid of one or the other. But and I think that you appreciate this and have addressed it yourself and with other guests on the show over many months and even years now. Obama, irrespective of Netanyahu, had an agenda for the Middle East and for the relationship between the United States and Israel. Netanyahu just provided him with an excuse to be much bolder and more explicit in that. But even if Shimon Peres were prime minister, I think we could have anticipated an orientation from the Obama administration that would seek to diminish the strategic importance of the relationship, the unique features of the friendship and so forth, in ways that would have left Israel net in the same position that they are now.
Well, Obama seems to have so many problems on his plate. He doesn't seem to take them as seriously as many other people.
Because he doesn't assume them as his problem.
That's right. He doesn't take responsibility for anything that's going on in the United States, and he heats things up even more so. I mean, if he sort of made a list of the things that have happened since he's become president, he might for a moment or two think, gee, maybe I had something to do with that. But apparently, as you said, he doesn't. He doesn't think it has anything to do with him as well. I wonder what it means to be the CEO, as you know, or the head of a company, and something goes wrong. We take responsibility for it, don't we? He doesn't.
Well, I know that that's been my experience, and I can tell you that I've had to swallow some pretty tough stuff in my time for things that I had nothing to do with, certainly not responsible for, but because of the position that I hold, I have to be ultimately accountable.
Absolutely.
I don't know that Barack Obama operates under the same set of considerations, and that's why you can have in Baltimore today history being made. Do you know that in Baltimore they're going to be playing a baseball game tonight?
I thought they canceled it.
No, they're playing it, and nobody will be allowed into the stadium.
Oh, okay, that was it. Nobody's allowed.
Can you imagine that?
No, I can't. How can they do that?
Well, I guess they're going to do it, but the idea that during the two terms of the first black president in the United States, race relations have plummeted to such a desperate point, and he will accept no responsibility for having failed to provide the kind of leadership that would inspire a nation to come together. So the cleavages between African Americans and whites, and the Latino community, and the Asian community, let alone the Muslims, and I'm not, of course, talking about the Jews. I don't think the United States has been in such a desperate place socially, certainly since World War II.
Well, if I was him, I'd put my head on my desk and I'd start to cry. And after that, I'd do everything I can to fix things. But he seems to be heating things up. Who is this Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont? A Democratic socialist, he calls himself.
Yeah.
He's likely to run for president. Do we need this as well?
No, we don't, and nobody should take Bernard Sanders seriously. He's that classic. in the U.S. They make a lot of fun of Vermont in terms of its general orientation. So he announced yesterday that he was intending
to run against Hillary Clinton. Yeah.
To run. Well, I don't know. Maybe we should prefer him over Hillary. I'm no fan of Hillary.
What a statement that is. That's pretty sad in both cases. Yeah.
But he's the junior senator from Vermont, and previous to that, he had a number of jobs, including serving, I think, as mayor of Burlington.
Ranking member of the Senate Budget Committee as well.
So he's very comfortable with sort of that North European approach to social democracy, which is much closer to the CCF NDP kind of model.
That's even more scary
than it is to the Democrats. He's a good Jewish boy, the son of immigrants. He grew up in Brooklyn, but he's certainly not anchored. He's not anchored in what I would say are authentic Jewish values. He did spend time in Israel, I must tell you, in the early 60s. I think he lived on a kibbutz for a while. But he was, very active in the anti-Vietnam movement in the United States.
We don't need any more of this kind of thing, okay? There is never, in my day, going to be a Jewish president. I don't even, I'm surprised at everything that's gone on. And look what's happened with Barack Obama. Look at the world today, even though he takes no responsibility for it. It's very, very frightening. The good things are that Israel has always been there for just about every disaster and every tragedy, helping in every way possible. In Nepal, in Haiti, you name it, Israel is there first. They don't have to be asked, they contribute.
They do. Israel is actually now in the process of building its largest field hospital in history to assist in Nepal, and Israel would do more if certain Muslim states in the past, including Turkey, had not defined the expression "cutting off their nose to spite their face." Rather than benefit from Israeli expertise, they just refused to have Israel present. Though, speaking of Turkey, we had a bit of drama here last week where there was wall-to-wall recognition of the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide, which, of course, Turkey loathes to have countries and people recognize. We were co-sponsors of an initiative that ultimately succeeded at Parliament, a unanimous motion to recognize April as Genocide Remembrance and Prevention Month, which includes the Armenian experience as part of that group of events historically led by, of course, the Shoah, the Holocaust, that speak to the evil that men can descend to. But, the headline in Embassy magazine this week is Turks desert Parliament Hill as politicians loudly support Armenia.
It doesn't matter what you do. It's never going to be the right thing. Just do the right thing regardless of the headlines that come forth after that. We were celebrating Yom HaTzmaut. We were crying about Yom HaShoah and Yom HaZikaron, and here we are with Lag Boimer. We just seem to move very quickly, and then Shavuot, we move quickly into the next realm of holidays, good, bad, or indifferent. So we continue to be the strength that we need to be. It's just that, the rest of the world has to follow suit.
Well, they could do worse than follow our example, but we could do worse than to rededicate ourselves to a sense of unity and unity of purpose. in that regard, you may know that CIJA, time to time, undertakes research and analysis about, what are the effective ways for us to connect with our target groups, political sector, media, Canadians at large, and third-party influencers and so forth. And not everybody within the pro-Israel community shares our belief in the approach that we have adopted. Now, we think that it's achieved a lot of success, but there are others, good people, very dedicated, committed pro-Israel activists who believe that we should have a different kind of strategy or approach. We should be much louder and bolder and muscular, they call it, in making our case, whether it's on campus or with media or so forth. So we're undertaking, Zelda, a new round of research because it's been about 10 years since we first introduced the shared values model that, while it's been adopted and endorsed by pretty much every pro-Israel group around the world, including the Israeli Foreign Ministry, it should be retested. And
do you believe in it?
I absolutely believe it. But I'm not so arrogant as to think that we shouldn't pause once in a while and say, are we sure we're doing the right thing in the right way? And ask ourselves, are there other ways that might be complementary or even more effective in achieving our goal? Because everybody shares the same goals within the pro-Israel community. So we did something that I'm not sure everybody would do, which is I reached out to some of our strongest critics. Again, these are critics, but they are absolutely committed Jews who are dedicated to advancing the interests of the Jewish community of Israel and so forth. So there's no question about their sincerity or their bona fides, but they don't like CIJA. It's not that they don't like CIJA, they don't like the way we do things. But I've invited a group of these people into our research and process to sit side by side with us as we go through it. So there's polling, there's focus groups, there's content analysis, there's data review, it's a whole long process, a very expensive one, I might add. And I invited in our critics to be part of the process so that either we can, with the evidence, persuade them that this is the right way, or to benefit from suggestions about a different way that actually might yield better results. So I look forward in the coming months. It'll take another couple of months before all the polling and the research is done, but I look forward to sharing with you some of the findings so that
well, it sounds very interesting. The point is, you have a point of view. You stick with it. Don't try to change to accommodate other people's thinking when you know you're on the right track. That's my humble opinion, but we'll be more than happy to listen to any of the information you want to share with us next time, and the time's coming up.
Well, it's not that we're lacking in confidence about our approach, but only a fool will reject the opportunity
Absolutely.
to reassess and reevaluate.
Absolutely, and I think you're on the right track, but you hold firm to what you know is right, and move along at the pace you feel is right. We'll be here to listen to any and all of the information you share with us. Thank you, Shimon. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Shimon Fogel, President and CEO of the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, will be back next week to inform and educate you on Jewish and Israeli affairs. To contact Shimon Fogel online, www.cija.ca or www.cerji.ca. MedFit Rehab founder Joanne James is a medical exercise specialist. MedFit Rehab restoring strength and movement, making a difference in people's lives. 647-259-5481. Columbus Center, Athletic Department, Dufferin and Lawrence, medfitrehab.com. Is staying healthy becoming too expensive with personal trainers, gym memberships, massages and supplements? Then Joanne James, medical exercise specialist, and her dedicated team have exciting news for you. Imagine a healthcare plan that saves you money on personal and group training and gives you premium access to medical professionals. That's what MedFit Rehab can offer you. In the Columbus Center, Dufferin and Lawrence, call today to learn more. 647-259-5481, medfitrehab.com. Hi, Joanne. How are you this lovely morning?
I am fantastic. It is a lovely morning. It's bright, it's beautiful, and it's getting warmer.
Well, I hope that summer stays right through the winter. Will be perfectly fine with me.
I'm counting on it.
Okay.
Counting on it.
Which comes first, strength or cardio? And maybe...
Hold listeners, agar aapki life. Yes. You know, when I look for a car, I don't want a...
To Quinn from Stevens Driving School. Drive.
In and receive.
Can't stop this bleed. Burning more.
Most money. For over 100 years, Rory LePage has been helping homeowners.
Baby, show me what it's all. You gotta know I'm feeling.
शुरू होके रेक्सडेल गुरु का विखे
To them being there. Because it's our land. It's...
J'aime les filles un peu pudiques.
Compresse eccetera. Mentre se tu prendi poi della vitamina C.
What do you think? 1-800-953-2464. Call.
Lovely symphonic music on a lovely spring day. The Haydn Symphony No. 16 opening movement with Toronto Camerata, conducted by Kevin Mallon. And before that, piano soloist Jorge Federico Osorio, playing some Mexican music by composer Manuel Ponce, the Mazurka de Salon No. 8. And it brings us to 10:43. Good-looking day, mixture of sun and cloud, mostly sun now. More cloud as the day goes on. This evening, there's a slight chance you might get a rain shower. But basically, it's spring, with a temperature high forecast to be 20 degrees. We're at 14 already. Full details and a long-range peek at the weekend coming up with our news. And Michael Kramer has that at 11 o'clock.
Welcome to FedEx office.
Yeah, I'd like to send something.
Okay.
But I'm on a budget.
Well, shipping with FedEx starts at just $7.20, sir.
Really?
Really?
You know I'm no tightwad.
Oh, of course not.
No penny pincher.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to.
Never been called a cheapskate.
Oh, sir,
But
yes.
I will take you up on that $7.20 thing.
Great. Shipping starts at just $7.20. Head to FedEx office or FedEx.ca for details. Prices vary by market. Surcharges and taxes apply.
How did you host your last soiree at home? Did you engage a private chef to prepare canapes in your signature kitchen? Serve cocktails on your terrace overlooking a magnificent ravine? Did a gracious living room and dining room provide the perfect setting for conversation? This signature lifestyle awaits in Lawrence Park with extraordinary condominiums priced from $1 million. Sherwood at Huntington by Tridell and Concert. Tour our exquisite model suites. 1900 Bayview south of Lawrence. Discover more at Tridell.com.
It could be the most thoughtful gift you'll ever give the ones you love. By planning ahead with Catholic cemeteries and funeral services, you'll relieve your loved ones from financial concerns and making difficult decisions at an emotional time. Benefit from 0% financing and flexible payment terms on your cemetery and funeral pre-arrangements. Catholic Cemeteries and Funeral Services, Archdiocese of Toronto. Visit us at catholic-cemeteries.com.
Who said saving your money has to be complicated? Not us. We're IC Savings, a credit union. Take our Escalator GIC. We guarantee you 3.5% on the third year. And if you need to cash out early, you'll still earn our premium savings rate, now at 1.25%. The high returns you want, the flexibility you need. Now, what's so complicated about that? Learn more at icsavings.ca. IC Savings. It's better to bank with us. New loves, new secrets, new Downton. What's this? Watch Downton Abbey Season 5 on Vision TV, and you could win a fully escorted trip for two to India, provided by Insight Vacations and Incredible India. For contest details, visit visiontv.ca/Downton India.
We wish you every good fortune.
Experience exotic India, Downton style, courtesy of Vision TV, Air France, Incredible India, and Insight Vacations, the art of touring in style.
Cutting-edge design meets unparalleled performance. Turns out, they're both from the same town in Sweden. Volvo is back, and there's never been a better time to get into one, like the award-winning S60 sedan or the turbocharged V60 Sport Wagon, now for only $399 a month. Or drive away in a feature-filled XC60 SUV for just $499 a month. For a limited time, take advantage of lease rates as low as 0.9% on 2015s at your local GTA Volvo retailer. Visit volvocars.ca for more details.
Hi, it's Pat Finelli with the Inside Scoop for Pizza Pizza. Our pizzas are now made with a lighter, crispier crust, dusted with Durham wheat semolina, and topped with a new vine-ripened fresh tomato sauce for a more flavorful artisan experience. All for the same low price. Get a large pizza with any 3 toppings and 3 free Coke, all for $13.99. Pizza Pizza, hot, fresh, and flavorful.
It's the Drive It, Love It sales event at your Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram retailer. Get 0% financing on all Jeep models. Cherokee starts at $24,495 with 0% for 60 months. Patriot from $85 biweekly at 3.49%. Or Grand Cherokee with $2,500 available lease cash. Plus $500 bonus cash on select models. And total discounts up to $3,750. See retailer for details.
You're single, and most of the time that's a good thing. Until it's not.
On Monday night, I bitched out loudly, hey, what do you think this one?
Favorite ones back in 2013, and we won.
Few years. So I went to Ford.ca to check out the new 2015 Focus. They gave me lease options and the choice of a sedan or a hatch for the same price. So I went to my Ford store and I leased it. With $1,195 down at 0% for only 48 months, I paid just $215.
72 put 6 points on the S&P 500 and 72 on the Dow. And today the S&P 500 so far is down 6 points. The Dow.
Magicians assist on in their dream. Make us believe we turn and say we never.
Baby, my heart could still.
Events and more. Your midnight hour will never be the same.
Great clouds all up. tour they did of the UK. They played a place called Kington.
Even our children. Now, there's a new way you can help. On May 29th, take part in the CAMH Dartmouth.
Decision to come out and
Rob Tian. And Rob is the sousaphone.
It'll lower your payments? We can...
I'd be really pumped if I had a couple drinks with me.
Song of the day. I love this one. The Humpty Dance.
Three Guys from Paris in this music by Gabriel Fauré, the piano trio. I'm Julie Nasrallah. You're listening to Tempo. This is CBC Radio 2. Time for another news break, but coming up after the news, find out which Wild West hero makes his Tempo debut.
April 29th, and this is CBC News. I'm Joe Cummings. The first wave of Canadian emergency relief aid has arrived in Kathmandu, Nepal. A Canadian military plane landed in the capital today carrying aid supplies and 31 soldiers who were part of the military's disaster response advance team. The number of confirmed dead from Saturday's earthquake has now surpassed 5,000, while hundreds of thousands are in need of food and water, shelter, and medical help. Relative calm seems to have returned to Baltimore following Monday's rioting and looting. Demonstrators were on the streets again last night, but so too were thousands of National Guard troops. CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick.
There was a huge police presence on the street. Now, it was the first night of the curfew, which is in place for the next week. And it came after a day of sort of mixed emotions in Baltimore yesterday. There were a lot of people out on the street cleaning up after the destruction on Monday night. There were some tense moments between police and some people on the street. But at the same time, at other times, it was kind of like a street party atmosphere. The community was really trying to come together. They also used a town hall last night at one of the churches as an opportunity to vent some of their anger and frustration, but some of the underlying causes for the riot and over the death of Freddie Gray. Now today the cleanup will continue. There's a lot of work still to be done, but school will be back in session. Students were out of school yesterday, and tonight the Orioles will finally play one of their baseball games. The last two nights their games have been canceled, but it will be played in an empty stadium in Baltimore tonight because of ongoing concerns about public safety.
That's the CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick in Washington. A report has been completed on sexual assault and harassment inside the Canadian military, and it's expected to be released at some point this week. With a preview, here's the CBC's James Cudmore.
It's the leadership of the Canadian Forces that will be in the sights of former Supreme Court Justice Marie Deschamps and her report when it's released. We've heard as soon as Thursday. The report has been described to me as being, quote, pretty nasty, unquote. It won't be good for the Canadian Armed Forces, one source said, especially for the leadership of the Canadian Forces. So we can expect there to be a lot of people upset by what was described to me as being an inflammatory report. A year ago, there was a series of articles about sexual assault and sexual misconduct in the Canadian Forces. Those articles led to this review ordered by the Chief of the Defence Staff, who said he needed to know whether or not there was a problem inside the Canadian Forces. The military put together a team to respond to this report, led by Canada's top female soldier, Major General Christine Whitecross, and supported by several other prominent female soldiers. They will be there when it's released in order to offer a kind of pre-response to whatever it is Madame Marie Deschamps says.
That's the CBC's James Cudmore in Ottawa. An armed standoff in Iqaluit is about to enter its second day. No details have been released, but the RCMP's emergency response team has been on the scene now since yesterday afternoon. The CBC's Elise Scurra reports.
The Happy Valley neighborhood is usually quiet, full of single-family homes. The sight of RCMP vans, dozens of camouflaged officers with rifles, is more than unusual. Martha Lawler is standing at the barricade with her 2-year-old son, unable to go home since yesterday afternoon.
It's very frustrating.
Meanwhile, her husband Paul and their 13-year-old son have been stuck in their homes.
It's just that uneasy feeling, knowing that your family's over there and we're over here.
Inside the house, Paul Lawler and his teenager are frustrated and a little scared.
Me and my son were watching them going up behind the houses here and taking people over the benches, taking all these kids over the benches, and people walking down with kids in their hands for the RCMP to take outside the barricade.
RCMP have not explained why the area is blocked off, except to say they're targeting one house. For many residents, that lack of information is the hardest part. Elise Scurra, CBC News, Iqaluit.
And that is the CBC News to this hour. I'm Joe Cummings.
Classical Trivia with Tom Allen.
guarded state secret of Vatican City for 150 years. It was written by Gregorio Allegri. He became a member of the papal choir in the Sistine Chapel in 1629 and wrote this, his Miserere Mei, based on Psalm 51, for Holy Week services. And it was only ever heard once a year at the Vatican. No scores were ever allowed to leave the premises until in 1770, a 14-year-old went to the Maundy Thursday service and memorized it. After one hearing, went back the next day on Good Friday to make a few corrections, and thereby came back with a perfect copy of this glorious thing. That 14-year-old was Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. The piece was published 1 year later and has been available to all ever since.
Tom Allen's Classical Trivia on CBC Radio 2. Back to more of the melodies you love. Tempo with Julie Nasrallah on CBC Radio 2.
This next composer wrote some 3,000 pieces of music and was self-taught. Meet Georg Philipp Telemann. His family wasn't musical, and except for a 2-week stint of lessons, Telemann had 0 musical instruction. Yet he taught himself how to play a bunch of instruments. He wrote sacred music, secular music, and music for the theater. So here for you now is Telemann's Burlesque de Quichotte, which is a light-hearted tribute to the novel Don Quixote. Now, not bad for a guy who had no musical training in life.
giravo il mondo come sempre. Gira il mondo, gira nello spazio se...
Which 2012 i sabto once in my...
Performance in every bottle. Hey, this is Andy Graham.
I've been praying hard. So no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Lately, I've been through the sea, dreaming about the things that we could be. Lately, I've been praying hard. So no more.
It's this question. Have you seen the all-new 2015 F-150?
So it's like everyone's on.
It's a special toque. The sun.
Of contractors and businesses for many years, whose lives, with their dependents, are in very grave peril. I am therefore asking the Congress to appropriate without delay $722 million for emergency military assistance for South Vietnam.
There was essentially no way that was going to be signed off on from the documentary Last Days in Vietnam. Here's former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger saying that was already clear.
We knew we were not going to get the $722 million. By that time, it made no big difference. But President Ford said he owed it to Vietnam to make a request.
He owed it to Vietnam to make the request. It didn't go through, and it was a chaotic evacuation. David Greenway was there. David, now let's go right to the last day or couple of days. What did you see going on? What about the evacuation itself? Yourself, Americans, Vietnamese? How was it unfolding?
Well, we had hoped that we'd be able to get out by fixed-wing aircraft, and some were able to do that. But early that morning before dawn, we could hear shells landing in the city. And a couple of reporters had these little radios you could buy for $20 in Hong Kong, and we could listen to the frequency of the embassy. So we heard the Marines at Tan Son Nhut Airport saying they were under shell fire, that 2 Americans had been killed, turned out to be the last 2 of the war. So we knew pretty much that it would have to be a chaotic evacuation by helicopter.
Chaotic it was at the end of a very, very dramatic war, much contested in the United States and deeply contested. Blood and fire in Vietnam. David Greenway, HGS Greenway, author of Foreign Correspondent, please stand by. David Greenway was there when we returned Viet Thanh Nguyen, whose family left in that same year, 1975. We're talking about the fall of Saigon. Were you there in the last days before the fall? Were you watching from home the chaos, the helicopters, the embassy rooftop? Give us your memories. 800-423-8255. 800-423-TALK. This is On Point.
No time to wallow in the mire. Try now, we can only lose, and our love become a funeral pyre. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire.
This is WBFO 88.7 FM, your NPR station. Good morning. Relatives of 8 people were killed by police say Governor Cuomo has agreed to order a special prosecutor to investigate such deaths if his legislative proposal fails to establish a special monitor to review similar cases. After a meeting with the governor for about 90 minutes yesterday, the group says it still wants the prosecutor, not the monitor. The state Senate has approved a proposal criminalizing environmental damage done while committing another offense. The measure comes after a recent incident in Monroe County involving a fuel spill caused by thieves stealing copper from electrical equipment. The measure must still get state assembly approval. Sunny skies today with highs in the low 60s. Tonight, partly to mostly cloudy, lows down into the low 40s. And then for tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a chance of showers in the afternoon with highs in the low 60s.
On point comes from WBUR Boston. Geico, celebrating over 75 years of providing auto insurance for drivers across America. More information on auto insurance available at geico.com or 1-800-947-AUTO. And Poster Smith, printing posters on wrinkle-resistant foldable fabric that transports flat for conference presentations. Poster Smith provides its service to research communities worldwide. Learn more at postersmith.com.
ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਾਤਾ ਆਵੇਗੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸ ਦਿਆਂ ਕਿ 12 ਵਜੇ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਾ 3 ਵਜੇ
Hospital was not a University Avenue well-known hospital. We were in the rehab sector, which is kind of tier 2 or 3.
Jump into spring and spring into fun.
You got a perfect one, so pop. Like this, she don't just rain, she pours.
Lenses, scratch-resistant hard coat.
Become a regular. Visit bearwaxbar.com.
Buffalo's best variety.
Mix 96.
Mix.
You know you can make your home feel like springtime all year long with a new lemon.
Welcome back, class. We have another graduate from the College of 97 Rock Knowledge. It's David Miller from West Seneca. 2-minute song, the subject of our question, and that would be Joan Jett and the Blackhearts.
Public ownership can ensure.
Really? I missed it. I don't really care about the equipment itself.
Yeah.
But it's time periods, and I spent a lot of time with that drum machine. And I know that sounds really weird, but it just is true.
Yeah.
And I just spent, my hands were touching it constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just being in a dark room, making music, just me and the little drum machine and the sampler. And so I do miss that, our special times together.
Is there a particular period in your long career with the Beasties that you miss most?
Foto, le note per questo visitate il nostro sito cinradio.com e troverete tutto l'informazione.
99 rupees section super set only.
Decor, your Benjamin Moore store.
Hungry for something different for lunch? Variety is on the menu at K-Light Lunch and Dinner Club.
With Angie and Jeff and today's best.
And I feel like nothing.
3 on Highway 7, just east of Breslau.
Ce que je saurais très bien, tu m'oublieras.
right now in the Hammer, 12, 14 in Toronto and St. Catharines. There is weather and a whole lot more. You just got to hit our website at kxcountry.fm. 11:26. Say it's Mike sitting in for Linda. You know what's a...
And we'll take care of the rest.
We all benefit from better drivers, so why don't better drivers get a little extra thanks? Like 30% more green lights, or 30% less construction. How about 30% off auto insurance? That'd be nice. At CAA Auto Insurance, we're doing just that. Let us show you how we're working with safe drivers to save them over 30%. Visit safewithcaa.com and get a quote today.
Lisbon, Barcelona, Nice.
What?
Osaka, Lima, Athens, Lisbon, Barcelona, Nice.
Honey, one. We need to pick one.
Well, technically, that's one.
$1 Rexall gift coupon absolutely free.
Save $2 on your Ontario drug benefit copay. Visit Rec.
Thank the sun. It's on fire. The sharks are coming. Sharks are coming. Sharks are coming. Sharks are coming.
There's a winning $1 million ticket every draw.
That's intriguing. It's definitely a game. You gave my life direction. A game show love can.
Easy off of the Rock or Bust album. It is called Rock the Blues Away. You can vote on that one on the Y108 homepage, y108.ca. You'll see the poll there, and you can also link through it through the Y108 Facebook page, and of course the brand new Y108 app. It is Chuck and the Big Broadcast with you. And occasionally, I don't just get requests for songs, but as it goes today, also a request for helpful hints from hell. Apparently, somebody is looking for saving face while being lost.
Welcome to... But they changed their styles always to be one step either ahead, behind, or sideways is what was...
conflict.
David Greenway, for Americans who may have lived through the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, maybe even the Gulf War, maybe not, younger Americans, I'm not sure fully take on board how much drama was around the Vietnam War. These have been fairly low drama wars by comparison. Well, in Vietnam, plenty of drama. In Iraq and Afghanistan, plenty of drama, but at home.
Well, there was no draft for Iraq and Afghanistan, and it was the draft that really split this country because people were going all volunteer army. You don't have to worry about that. But when you're made to go and you don't want to, that's bad for morale, and it split the country, I think, more than anything since the Civil War.
For a decade, the music, the protests in the streets, the culture, I find it not easy to convey how consumed with debate over this war the United States was.
I have one memory of that day 40 years ago that Mr. Nguyen might find interesting. I had to get out of the embassy through this terrible crowd of panicked people to file the fall of Saigon for the Washington Post.
The story.
And the only way I could file it was from my best friend, Phan Xuan An, who I'd known at Time Magazine, and he let me use the Time Telex, even though I was working for a rival paper.
This is pre-internet, ladies and gentlemen. You had to have a telex,
yes,
kind of a very cumbersome, clunky old pound way.
And he was by far my best Vietnamese friend. We'd worked together as colleagues, and I found out after the fall of Saigon that he had been an agent for the North Vietnamese during the entire time and during the French War as well.
Something incredible to find out. We're talking about the fall of Saigon. I'm Tom Ashbrook. This is On Point. Viet Thanh Nguyen, the protagonist in your novel, has a somewhat similar role. This is a deep mole, a spy within the South Vietnamese, and later comes to America as well. David Greenway lived this reality, though he didn't know it at the time. How did you choose to tell the story of all this through the story of a mole, a spy?
Well, I'd certainly heard of the story of Phan Xuan An that David talked about, and when I wanted to write this novel, I thought a spy story would be great because here would be a person who would get to be involved in all the historical moments and be able to see things from both sides, and that was really the critical ideal for me. This war was a war that was fought passionately by people of different factions and beliefs, but all of them, or most of them, really believed they were doing the right thing, and they saw things from their point of view exclusively. And I didn't want to write a novel that would simply repeat that kind of a story. I wanted to have a character who was capable of sympathizing with all the different sides in the conflict. And the reason why that was important was because for me, what made this war a tragedy was not that it was a conflict between right and wrong, but that it was a conflict between right and right. That is, all the different sides had legitimate reason for believing that they were fighting for the right cause, and that's what leads to tragedy, or in the case of my book, tragic comedy.
Cam in Omaha, Nebraska. Thank you for calling, Cam. You're on the air.
Yeah, my name is Cam. I was 12 years old when this happened. I was watching from the balcony of our home.
You were Vietnamese in Saigon, Cam.
I'm South Vietnamese. I live in the U.S. right now.
Yes, yes.
I was 12 years old when I saw the Soviet-built T-54 tank rolling through the street of Saigon. It was pretty chaotic. Just half an hour prior to that, I saw South Vietnamese soldiers in the GMC trucks stopping their truck on the bridge near my home, dumping on their uniform, M16 rifle, and all the gear they have. They run like madmen, try to escape the Viet Cong. So, and about an hour later, I saw the Soviet T-54 tank rolling through the bridge. So it was quite a scene to watch.
How did you and your family, if it was all of you, get out of Vietnam, Tim?
Oh, I stayed behind for 4 years. The majority of my family members left through a Korean ship that happened to leave around, I think, April 26 or April 27, a few days prior. So they were leaving together with the Korean ship.
And all these years later, how do you look back on the end of the war? Does it look inevitable? Does it look like betrayal?
40 years go by fast, I can tell you that now. I have a lot of gray hair now. I moved to Canada in 1979, and then went to school there, and then now I settled in the U.S.
Lives sent in a million directions at the end of the Vietnam War. Kem, in Omaha, thank you for calling. Viet Thanh Nguyen's family was scattered. We'll hear about how that all happened. Many would not see each other again for years, maybe ever. His novel is The Sympathizer. He joins us from Los Angeles. HGS David Greenway was an American correspondent for the Washington Post at the end of the war. He'd seen much of the Vietnam War. He joins us today as well, author of Foreign Correspondent. Listeners, you can join us. How do you know this war? Do you know it just from the movies? Platoon, Full Metal Jacket, Apocalypse Now? What do you hear in the stories of our correspondent, David Greenway, our novelist who fled as a Vietnamese boy? And what did we finally learn from Vietnam? Did we learn? 800-423-8255 is our number. 800-423-TALK. Edwin Starr's War from 1970. I'm Tom Ashbrook. This is On Point.
You're listening to WBFO 88.7 FM.
Every day on Morning Edition, it's the news you can't do without. This morning, we've been looking at what's happening.
There's conservatism, libertarianism, environmentalism, religion.
We're not props. We're just everyday people.
The talent, the joy, the sense of hope.